High school, the place where everything feels like it matters. It's where you first experience friendship, heartbreak, and everything in between. It's also the place where your relationships can shape who you are, even long after graduation. But here's the thing. If you take a good look at your school, you'll start noticing something interesting. There are 5 distinct relationship archetypes that seem to show up in every high school. Maybe you're one of them. Or maybe you've been tangled up in one of these dynamics without even realizing it. But what if you could understand these archetypes? What if knowing them could help you navigate your relationships better, avoid unnecessary drama, or even help you become the best version of yourself? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. The 5 relationship archetypes that appear in almost every high school. And which one you might be. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The popular one, the center of attention. Every school has that group, right? The ones who seem to know everyone, always at the center of every conversation, and always posting pictures that make everyone else wish they had their life. They've got the latest style, the best social media posts, and everyone just seems to gravitate toward them. But here's the thing, popularity isn't always what it seems. On the surface, everything looks perfect. These students often hold the power, the attention, and the influence. They're invited to every party. They're in all the group chats, and they're often seen as the go-to people for advice or fun. But underneath it all, there's a pressure. The pressure to maintain this status, to keep up appearances, to always be on top. And that can be exhausting. Sometimes, the popular ones feel like they're constantly performing, putting on a show for the world, and never truly being themselves. It's not easy living under the spotlight, and sometimes it can even feel lonely. Because who can you really trust when it feels like everyone is looking at you for the wrong reasons? Now, I'm not saying being popular is a bad thing. Some people truly love being the center of attention and thrive in that environment. But if you find yourself constantly putting on a mask, constantly worried about what people think, maybe it's time to ask yourself, is this who I really am? The rebel, the independent spirit. Then there's the rebel. This person doesn't follow the rules. They're not interested in fitting into the mainstream mold. Instead, they're the ones who speak up when something feels unfair. They push boundaries, and they march to the beat of their own drum. The rebel archetype often stands out by defying authority, questioning traditions, and going against the grain. Whether it's the way they dress, the opinions they express, or the groups they hang out with, rebels don't care about fitting in. They care about being true to themselves, no matter what others think. But here's the catch. While the rebel might seem confident and carefree, they often struggle with feeling misunderstood. It's hard to build deep, lasting relationships when you're constantly on the outside looking in. And while they might stand up for what they believe in, it can sometimes feel like they're doing it alone. Sometimes, being a rebel means cutting yourself off from other people because you're too busy challenging everything around you. And that can leave you feeling isolated. But at the same time, it's also a way to protect yourself from getting hurt. If you don't rely on others, you can't be disappointed by them. So, if you identify with the rebel, ask yourself this: is your independence bringing you the peace and freedom you crave? Or is it just a way to avoid getting hurt? The nurturer, the caregiver. In almost every high school, there's someone who is always there to listen, always there to support. They know when someone is going through a rough time and make sure to check in. They're the nurturer, the one who takes care of others, even when they're struggling themselves. These students might not always be the loudest in the room, but they're the ones who make people feel seen and heard. They're the ones you turn to when you need advice or just someone to talk to. But here's something that you might not have realized about the nurturer. They often neglect their own needs. They're so focused on helping others that they forget to take care of themselves. It can be draining to always be the one who gives without getting anything in return. Sometimes, the nurturer is afraid of being vulnerable, afraid to admit when they need help, because they're too busy focusing on others. And that's where the struggle comes in. It's hard to have healthy relationships when you're always putting other people's needs ahead of your own. So, if you're the nurturer, it might be time to ask yourself, are you giving too much of yourself? Are you letting others drain you without asking for help in return? The follower, the silent observer. Next up is the follower. These are the people who go with the flow. They tend to stick with what's comfortable, follow the crowd, and often avoid rocking the boat. It's not that they don't have strong opinions. It's just that they prefer to stay in the background, avoid conflict, and go along with whatever everyone else is doing. But here's the thing. Being a follower isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's about finding your place and being content with where you are. And honestly, there's a lot of value in that. It's easy to be overwhelmed by all the loud voices around you, and the follower knows that sometimes it's better to just let things be. But there's a downside too. The follower can sometimes lose their sense of self. When you spend so much time trying to fit into someone else's life, you forget what you truly want out of yours. It's easy to lose your voice, your opinion, and your identity in a sea of people trying to shape you into what they want you to be. So, if you identify as the follower, ask yourself, are you following because you don't know who you are, or because you're choosing to go along with what makes you happy? The romantic, the dreamer in love. And finally, we have the romantic. This is the person who is constantly dreaming of love, whether it's the perfect relationship, the perfect date, or the perfect fairy tale ending. The romantic believes in love more than anything else. They might be the ones writing love notes in their notebooks, making playlists for their crushes, or daydreaming about their future with someone special. But here's the thing about being a romantic. When you place so much hope and energy into something idealized, like love, you set yourself up for disappointment. Real relationships are messy. They're complicated. They don't always match the picture-perfect image that the romantic craves. The romantic might get hurt when their love story doesn't go as planned. They might get their heart broken more than once. But the flip side is that they also learn to appreciate the beauty of real connections, even if they don't look like the fairy tales. If you're the romantic, ask yourself, are you loving from a place of expectation? Or are you loving because you truly understand the ups and downs that come with it? So, which one are you? Every high school has these 5 relationship archetypes. Some people fit into one. Others might blend a little of each. The important thing is, who you are right now doesn't define you forever. You have the power to change, to grow, and to decide which relationships to invest in and which to let go of. So take a step back and think about it. Which archetype do you relate to most? And how can understanding yourself better help you become a stronger, more authentic version of who you're meant to be? Before you go, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more to come, and I don't want you to miss out on the next part of this journey together. Remember, high school relationships aren't just about fitting into a box. They're about learning who you are, who you want to be, and how to connect with others in real, meaningful ways. And hey, if you know someone who could really use this video, share it with them. Because the more we understand ourselves and each other, the more we can create a space where everyone truly belongs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.